This is Mitch, and welcome to the 1000houses.com podcast. I have Mike Cowper on the, is that how you say it, Cowper?
No, it's Cowper.
Cowper. I knew I was wrong. I knew I was wrong from the beginning. But here, one thing about a true entrepreneur is you have to take responsibility. You look in the mirror, it's all you, and you admit when you're wrong. So I'm sorry, man. I goofed up.
Hey, no worries. No one ever gets it right. They try to avoid saying cow. So it's Cowper.
I didn't. I just went right for it. So we're going to talk about scaling. Everybody wants to scale. Everyone's talking about scaling. There's a downside to scaling. There's a problem with scaling. You can get yourself in trouble scaling. Ask me how I know. Ask Mike how he knows. I mean, you got to be kind of careful with this because it's not just 1, 2, 3, you're going to scale. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it. And if you don't have your collective crap together, you could be trying to scale something that has a missing part and it just won't scale. And then you're wasting all your effort, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the way I look at it is you have to have a strong foundation and a core competency that you're really good at before you can really scale well. Because like you'd said, I've done the fast scaling. I've grown to a huge team, been in multiple markets. And ultimately, ultimately, at the end of the day, is I found that it was incredibly stressful. We weren't really making any more money in terms of net. Like, yeah, the gross number kept growing and the gross is cute to show and say and talk about, but what I get to keep is what I care about. And I think a lot of people fall in the trap of trying to do start at the finish line, right? You got to start at the start. You got to take it step by step by step and build out a strong foundation in place. And you and I were kind of talking about this before this got started. And I really liked what you talked about, how you scaled your business one desk at a time.
Well, because I was too afraid and I was too scared. So give a little background on yourself. I skipped that part, but I want to make sure people know who you are, where you're from, what you do.
Yeah, no problem. So Mike Cowper, I'm out of Metro Detroit, Michigan. We invest in 3 counties here and we don't really do anything in the city. I bought my first rental property in November of 2014. That's really what my passion was, or at least what I thought I wanted it to be, to build up passive income. Well, in the route of doing that, I ended up meeting my partner who was a converted flipper into wholesaler. And my corporate background was always in sales. So I was always at the top of the leaderboards. I got sent to Hawaii about a month or 2 before I quit to go do this full time and really got into wholesaling. And I think wholesaling is a great entry point for a lot of people. And I think it's a great model. But what I've found is that it's one of those things that you always have to stay active in unless you can truly build a scaled up team and a lot of people to replace yourself. But even then, if you're not big enough where you have redundancies, you have to jump back in at some point or another. So say you have a CEO or COO in your team and they're supposed to be handling for you, but then they quit or they don't work out. Well, you're right back in there and sometimes more stressful than you think it might be beforehand, because at least you had your hand on the wheel prior to leaving, and we have to jump back in. Then you have to try and remember everything and get caught up on everything and go into it. So really we have been wholesaling for about 5 years. And I was, sitting around one day realizing that I was just really stressed out. I was always running around, feeling like I had to work from 4 in the morning till 8 at night, which at times makes total sense. You've got to do the work sometimes. But I was doing this for like months, years, and I was just starting to get burnt out. And then one day I was talking with my my friend Don Costa and my partner at the Inner Circle Elite over there at Flip Talk. But really, I was talking to him one day and I realized I forgot to buy a rental last year. I was so busy trying to stay in my active business, I forgot to start buying the passive income. And that's really where I kind of had that epiphany moment is, really all of us, I don't think anyone gets into this business to start saying, hey, I love working all the time. I'm not here for financial freedom. I'm here to just be a deal junkie, which all of us are, right? Because it's really exciting. But we typically want to get into this so we can have our financial and our time freedom. And I think a lot of people get lost in trying to scale to that rather than doing the tried and true method, picking up money that comes in every month, whether you're doing anything or not. And that's really where I have been focused on this past year and a half, is raising my baseline, like keep increasing that passive income monthly, quarterly, annually. So when you do have the ups and downs of the market, like COVID hitting right now, you can sustain those things. And that's really where I've become more focused on, is because if I have that passive income coming in every month, I can take bigger risks. I can then go try to scale. And as you were talking about, if you hire that wrong person, you make a mistake, you still got that big check coming every single month. You've got that money coming, whether you do well or not. And it allows you to maybe grow your business or take different chances or go into different opportunities.
It allows you to fail forward. You know, I failed, but I think I had the wrong person. I learned what really happened to me when I tried to scale 5 times and failed miserably. The problem was I never gave myself permission not to do 100 houses a year. So I was trying to work on my business while I was working in my business doing 100 houses a year, more or less. And there wasn't enough of me left over to pay any real attention to grow, to scale in the business. And when I mean scaling, I was just trying to automate and get myself out. I wasn't trying to do more. I was just trying to scale in the sense of it's all going to get done without me, you know, which to me is a form of scaling. And so the year that I got it done, I was going to quit, and I just couldn't force myself to give up $1 million plus a year net profit. I just kept going, I'm going to walk away from this, really? Because I had my storages. I had my passive income. I never had to work another day in my life with the storages that I have. I have 1,300 people owe me $100 every month, okay? So, and so I was tired, burnt out like you, and I was going to put it in a box, but I just thought to myself, what a shame to walk away from that business. So why don't I just pay like half of what I make to some really top key people, and I'll give up 500,000 a year of my $1 million plus, and at least get to keep 500,000 or 600,000, right? And not walk away from the whole thing. Well, what happened was that year, excuse me, that year, since I was going to quit, I didn't care if I did 100 houses. I didn't care if I did 1. I only did 33 houses that year that I, damn, I'm sorry. That year that I did, we fixed the business, I only did 33 houses. Those houses walked in the office and gave themselves up. I mean, they just surrendered. I didn't even go after them. I would have done 0 houses. I didn't care about houses anymore. I was trying to fix the system. It took me about 14 months, but when it finally got done and it was all running without me, and I knew that it was running without me when I left town for a month, and it came back and it had bought and sold 8 houses. You know, I thought, it bought 8 houses, but it sold eight on the other end, not the same 8 houses, but it sold 8 houses, got sold while 8 houses were coming in. I thought it's working. What was the difference this time? The difference was I focused just on fixing my business, and I took my time, and it was no pressure. I had all this cash flow coming in every month. I was going to get paid whether the business got fixed or whether that business got fixed or not. And all the pressure was off, and I could take time to fix every seat in the office and find the right person. And I did it 1 chair at a time.
That's awesome. And that's a great message. And that's what I'm going through and learning right now, because a lot of us get caught up in competing with others or trying to chase other people's dreams or trying to, fulfill someone else's goals and agenda. And I think if you take the time to sit down and look at what is it I want to get, and I know everyone says it's begin with the end in mind, but we get busy along the way and we start to fill up our day and we start chasing things and we want to go bigger, bigger, faster, faster. And that's probably where I've made most of my mistakes, trying to do things too much, too quickly, have things, it's like the jack of all trades, master of none, old analogy. I would try to do all these things all at once and none of them got done very well.
I love that. My biggest year, my 3rd year in business, I did 150 houses. I made more money the year that I only did 65 because as fast as money was coming in the front door, my contractors and everybody were ripping me off out the back door. And I did all this volume and didn't make any more money than at 65. Ron LeGrand was the first one to call me stupid and say, doing 150 houses a year with the amount of staff you have is completely stupid. He says, why don't you try doing half as many houses and making twice as much money and have a life? And I sat down and said, the way he put it to me didn't make me feel warm and fuzzy. But when I went back and thought about what he said, I thought, I think he's right, as much as I hate to admit it. And he was right. So I went back and I started not worrying about my volume. I started worrying about my gross or my ROI per transaction.
That makes a ton of sense. And actually, I want to make sure I give you credit for this one, because I got the chance to meet you when I was in San Antonio with our Inner Circle group. And really, here I'd been focused on rentals. I never really thought of selling on land contract or contract for deed in other states. And I'm sitting here looking at there, running the numbers on ROI. And you just said, yeah, I just sell everything on land contract, 30-year terms, no balloon. And I'm like, I really like that. So
no maintenance, and I have no money in it at all. And so it's an infinity rate of return because I don't have any money in it. I collect 10% as a down payment, so 10,000 or 12,000 or 15,000 right off the bat. And then I do the work one time, and I'm owed 361 payments. Number one is a down payment, and then 360 payments, of which I average clearing just about $500. So in that seller finance business where I buy my houses for 50,000 with OPM, then I sell them for 100,000. Don't get hung up on the numbers here. I'm just giving some round numbers for the theory. Then I sell it for 100,000 with 10% down or 10,000 down. So I get that payment, and then I collect, it's on a 30-year note. So I'm due 360 payments where I'm going to net $500 a month between what I collect and what I owe. That's $180,000 on a 360-month note. And so I work one time and I get paid 361 times over 30 years.
That's the beautiful part about it. That's where it kind of clicked. And then the other thing I noticed here in Michigan is we have insane property taxes. For that $50,000 house, you're looking at $2,000 to $3,000 a year in property taxes. And our cities have been very aggressive towards landlords. So they want to inspect the house every year to 3 years, somewhere in that range. And then you never see an inspector come in a house and not find at least, $1,000 to $5,000 worth of work to be done. And all of this stuff just started adding up. I'm like, man, I'm paying more out in anything. Why not pass that along like you do? And, it's a newer experiment for me, but I've been doing it for almost a year now. And I mean, I've already generated probably 6 new land contract notes. Anytime a house got turned over on rental, I just go sell it as is on land contract.
Yeah, don't go jack with it. If a house is running good and they're paying well and they're not demanding a bunch of repairs or they're not a pain in your ass, just leave them alone. What do we, don't go kick a sleeping dog, just let it sleep. But then when it wakes up and it's, starts growling or tearing things up, then you could put it up for sale for a land contract, or you can run it both ways. Run it for rent and run it for land. You call it land contract up there. We do just a straight mortgage and deed of trust, and we're just a lien holder in Texas because we got very fast foreclosure laws. But and see who shows up. You might find another great tenant and be able to get the depreciation and everything for another 5 years or whatever. But maybe you find a guy that doesn't have just 10% down, he's got 25% down. Well, the hell with being a landlord at that point, you know what I mean? Let's take the $20,000-$30,000 down and get out from under this maintenance proposition. I found there's a lot of people, tell me if you think this is true, a lot of people go into that rent game and be the landlord, the buy and hold game, and on paper they're supposed to make a lot of money, and they're still telling themselves they're making money, but in reality, when you get your financials back from your CPA, you didn't make nothing. You didn't make anything.
That is really why it clicked when you'd mentioned that at our meeting. Because you're right. I would look at the financials and maybe $500,000 for the year, and I'm supposed to be cash flowing, $300, $400, $500 a month. And end of the day, that furnace went, or the city made me put siding on a house that was fine. Whatever it is, it tends to just all come together collectively. Property management costs, $99 a month, whatever that looks like.
Move outs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Delinquents, eviction costs. Downtime, vacancies. I mean, I tell people that have 401ks and everything, they think they want to go in the rental business. I said, you can do that. And over a long haul, those properties will be worth a lot of money, but you're just going to break even in the middle. Unless you can write a check for the whole house. If you're trying to hold these things and you have debt and you're trying to make money between what you collect and what you owe, that's really tough. I could see how you might make some money while you're holding if you could, you write a check from your IRA and your IRA owns it free and clear or something, seller finance is a great proposition. Plus, when was the last time you got 10 or 15 or 20,000 as a non-refundable rent deposit? Never happened. But I can get a $40,000 down payment on a $100,000 house. I mean, it's happened to me. It doesn't happen every day, but I got that chance every time I put a house up for sale that, you know, I'm asking a minimum of 10% down, but I might get 30% down. The people go, well, why would they put 30% down when you're only asking 10? Hey, someone sold their house and they don't want the money to evaporate. So they said, I'm just going to roll it over into the next house. Please get this money out of my hands, get it out of my bank account. Let me put it down on this house, and it'll be moving, you know, it'll stay preserved. You know, people do it all the time. Or they just want small payments.
I agree with you. And I found that to be the case so far. And really what I do like about it, and it's funny, it's like, you know, I got into this business expecting one thing, and over the past 6 years, it's evolved into this new thing that I'm really excited about. But it's really a combination of all the little pieces, because knowing how to be a landlord is helpful. Knowing how to find and source deals like a wholesaler is helpful, because now I'm in front of the line on deals and I get to choose which ones I want to offer to my investors and which ones I want to cherry pick for myself. And then the really thing I love most about the creative finance side of this is I basically get 3 paydays. I get that down payment, I get the monthly income, and I'm expecting, I could be wrong, but I'm expecting people to refinance these or sell them within probably somewhere between 5 and 15 years, because most people don't stay in a house for 30. And they
Exactly.
pay mostly interest those first 5 to 10 years. So
that's why I like the 30-year note. That's why we like the 30-year note, because in 5 or 6 years, that, you know, before they decide to sell the house to somebody else on a new loan through a realtor or whatever, they haven't really paid down anything. You know, I'm on 10 and 15-year notes, and I'm usually right around. I only borrow. You know, I try to sell my properties for 100% over what I owe. So if I bought it for 50, I'm trying to get in a position where I can sell it for 100. It doesn't always work out that pretty. You know, sometimes it's the most I'll pay is 65%. You know, 65,000 to sell a house for 100. If it starts going over that, I don't like it. But I try to have 100% markup in my houses. And you know, that's how I negotiate. And yeah, you get that, you know, at some point you're going to get a windfall of a really big $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 check, because these notes, the average note in America will last what? Average mortgage in America lasts 7.5 years. In the economic echelon that we're dealing in, where these people are a little bit flawed. That's why they're having to buy houses, seller finance from people like you and me. They're inherently flawed. They don't have what it takes to fix their credit and to keep it fixed long enough to get a traditional loan. And so maybe their notes will go, like you said, 10 to 12 years, maybe 15 years, you know, average before they fall out.
Yeah. And I'm really curious to see what the actual numbers shake out for me, because I only sold them so far in the past year. So I'm still in the initial collection phases, but it's really exciting. The checks show up. I found a servicing company that I'm going to be starting using that does it nationwide. I had a bugger trying to find somebody here that would do Michigan, and I had to reach out to all my network for that. But really, it's been very pleasantly surprising, because now I don't have to worry about approval for this fix or approval for that fix, or tenant gave 30-day notice. Now we got to start remarketing it. And, you know, my bills are still due to because I do the same as you. I borrow on other people's money and buy the houses, give them a straight payment every single month. They love it. And you know, allows me to increase my wealth, my passive income stream, which is really what I'm focused on. And I lost focus of that for a while. And I think what I want to make sure people understand is, if you have lost focus, it's okay. Just remember, you can go back to what you were focusing on. Like Mitch, you said earlier, you were so busy building 150 houses for that 1 year, but then you made more money and had more life the year you went down. And I'm finding the same thing with COVID. It kind of, luckily we had already started moving more virtual back in last October. But when this all hit, we were kind of prepped for it. And it gave us some lean time where nobody was responding, no one was calling, to really work on the business, work on the systems, on the process. And I didn't just go make busy work for myself, which I tend to like to do, just being a type A driver person.
Yeah, so this is a good point. I like talking about two things. Don't forget to address private money. But you know, the seller financing strategy, so far, it survived the 2008 recession, the Great Recession. You know, they dubbed it the Great Recession. It was a huge recession. It survived, that strategy survived with flying colors. We're finding the pandemic, it's doing the same thing so far. The pandemic, the story on the pandemic's not finished yet. We got to wait till these stimulus checks run out and people quit getting a hand. And then we're going to see who took care of their resources and who didn't and how many. But the one thing about it is, I know the people that have rentals were hurting much worse than the people that had seller financed houses, because look at who's in the house. The tenant has no stake in the game. They only put a little bit of money to get involved in that deal. My seller finance buyers have 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 more in the house. And then a lot of them have put a lot of money to make that house theirs, meaning they added a back porch, they put in a pool, they poured concrete in the dirt driveway, they put up the picket fence or the wrought iron fence, or re-put in all new windows, or re-insulated the attic and put in a new AC. These houses are worth tens of thousands of dollars more than on the day that I sold it to them, because those people forced appreciation. You know what I mean? Not to forsake just the regular appreciation. We had the regular appreciation, and then we had the forced appreciation on top of that. So my people are not likely to walk away. As a matter of fact, I don't think I have one COVID-related foreclosure going right now. The foreclosures I was dealing with were in process before COVID, and would have been done by now, but COVID shut down the evictions and the foreclosures, right? So I don't think I have a COVID-related default right now.
That's a great point that you made there too. And actually this feels like it's been the year of paradigm shifting for me, because I was basically had two houses that I bought that I wanted to go and get renovated, but my contractor was out 3 weeks. So I was like, okay, let me just try selling this as is. And I got maybe 10% less than what I would have had I put all the work into it. And now I put zero money into the actual renovations. I have people that bought them, gave me $10,000 plus down payment on all of them. And I was ready to do the work anyway. So should I have to take that house back, which I never want to, but should I have to take it back? I'm comfortable taking it back and then doing the work if I have to.
Well, hold on. But if it goes like it's supposed to, they're going to put all their money into your collateral, and all of a sudden this house is worth way more than what they owe you, and certainly and a ton more than what you bought it for. And that's the magic. To me, I think you're one of the guys in that room that caught it when I said the best strategy in the whole wide world is buy it, don't fix it, owner finance it for double, and watch the guy sending you payments go over budget, putting money and work into your collateral. It's the greatest plan ever. It's a little tricky, right? You got to learn how to find the right guy, right? And you got to take a little time, and you might go through a couple of people. But once you hit the guy that really goes in and fixes it, and you learn how to size up, all right, this guy wants the house. Does he have the money to actually fix it? Because it doesn't do any good to sell it to a guy who wants to fix it but doesn't have any money. So you go verify the money in the bank account. You got to verify, like, does he know how to fix a house? Well, yeah, he says he's a contractor. Well, let's go look at his last 2 jobs, because that's what your house is going to look like in 6 months. You know what I mean? Whatever that kind of job that guy does on these 2 houses I'm going to look at that he did, that's what this house is going to look like. And then, so you learn how to size it up. It takes a little more time, but my God, what a strategy. Well, I love that strategy.
I'm glad you said the taking time too, because right, it's been almost a year since we got a chance to meet. And you broke my brain, and it is a process, right? You can do this in your sleep now. I was really uncomfortable on the first one, second one, but now I have one closing on Thursday, and today's Tuesday, and I still haven't really prepared all the documents, but I can have that out to them today, which I'm going to, because I still do use the title company and everything to close. But you say this a lot, is you either pay somebody or you pay the street. Well, I got in a rush. I put someone in a house right before COVID did hit, took a down payment way less than I should. It was $2,500. Then I didn't get a single payment from him. He trashed the house. And then I had to give him his money back just to get him out, because we were in the shutdown of foreclosures, evictions, anything like that. So I just did a cost benefit. Like, look, I'm going to lose money either way. Might as well give him his money back and get him out of the house so I can get to work on it.
Yeah, and not get in a fight. Yeah, no, you did the right thing on that end. You just, we've all done it. That's how we learn. But you paid the street, man. I got my degree from La Calle U. La Calle means the street in Spanish. And that's the most expensive university in the planet. I mean, it doesn't care. It'll charge you everything you have, and then more. It'll put you in debt, plus take everything you have. The problem is it doesn't even give you a piece of paper. But I swear to you, I am going to get a ring, a college ring that says La Calle U around the stone, right in the middle.
That's awesome.
I'm going to put 1996 to present. That's the years that So how are you funding your deals?
Private money, two ways. It's always other people's money. I have a few people. It's funny. I know you mentioned this and a lot of people mention this, but I probably have 3 or 4 people that I go to most often that fund my deals. They are closer to retirement age, or they don't want to retire quite yet. So they're punting their Social Security and they're giving me their funds, and I'm borrowing it, keeping it as a first lien on these houses and going that route. The other way I do it is I have worked on some creative acquisition skills as well. So buying houses subject to, or having them give me seller finance and then I resell it on better terms than I've got or higher price. So those are the 2 ways that I really fund them: private money and then either, creative purchases.
Okay. So have you hypothecated notes to a community bank yet?
That is not something I've done yet. I was actually starting to consider how to do that because I would like to get that. I think it's a revolving line of credit. I don't know exactly what the hypothecation is, if you don't mind sharing with me.
No. Well, hypothecation is just a fancy word for I can't refinance the houses anymore because I don't own them.
Gotcha.
Let me give you an example. I had borrowed $1.8 million from my private lenders. I had purchased and sold these houses for like $4.1 million seller financed. Okay. They still owe me $3.7 million. It's 35 houses I put on a spreadsheet. I bought them with a $1.8 million. I sold them for 4.2. They gave me some down payments. They made, the notes were in various stages. Some were 6 months old, some were a year or 2 years old. But if you added up all the balances that they still owed on the whole 35 houses, they still owed me $3.7 million. I had sold the houses for 4.2 and collected some down payments. But now there had been appreciation, so they were worth about 4.3 or 4.4. So I go to the bank and look, says, I got $4.4 million worth of appraised assets, okay? The houses, if you go get them appraised, they're gonna be around 4.4. These people still owe me 3.7 million in notes. I just wanna borrow 1.8. So can I pledge my 3.7 worth of notes as collateral and give you an assignment of note in my first lien collateral rights until I pay you back 1.8 million? And then they're giving me the 1.8 million at 15 years, 4.25 fixed, no adjustment, no renewal, just a fixed friggin' loan. So I go from soft money private loan rates like 8, 9, 10% to 4.25 fixed 15. 2 things happened. I increased my cash flow dramatically, even though it's amortizing, and a lot of my other notes were just 8% or 9% interest only. I increased my cash flow dramatically because I got a 4.25 rate at 15 years. But I also freed up the 1.8 million of people that already trust me, and I can make another run at downtown. You know what I mean? I can make another. So in theory, I could buy the whole planet $1.8 million at a time. You buy 1.8 million worth of properties, then you pledge the notes to the bank, then you get the 1.8, and you go back and you buy another 1.8 million worth of properties. Just rinse and repeat, right?
Well, that's great. I'm definitely going to explore that strategy. And you're right, because that is always my challenge, is how do I get the private financing people out of there? And I was considering like the Dave Ramsey debt snowball, but I don't love that idea. I'd rather keep, traditional like kind of money on it long term. Like I love to get out of debt, garbage debt. Like I like keeping a certain amount of debt that makes my money grow.
Well, my private money debt's non-recourse, collateral only, wrappable money, right? And some people say to me, some of these private lenders, they'll try to pull a fast one right at the end and go, well, you are going to sign your signature for me, right? And I go, no. They said, well, so you don't believe in your program enough to sign your name? And I said, no, I believe in it. I owe, I'm not, it's not like I'm not bankable. It's not like I've not done it. I mean, I owe a couple of $1 million right now, if not $4 million to bank. But if you want to loan me money at 15 years fixed for 4.25, I'll get my pen out right now and we'll change the papers. I'll sign like hell. But for 8 or 9% or 10%, you have to share in that catastrophic risk with me. Because the only way we're going to have a problem is catastrophic. Like if Kim Jong dumbass drops a nuclear bomb in downtown San Antonio, I mean, that's not my fault. I didn't cause that. A meteorite hits, you know, in the middle of Texas, and you know, that's not my fault. You want to make 8, 9, 10%, you gotta share that catastrophic risk with me. You want to give me 4.25 fixed for 15 years? I'll take it all, baby.
That's so true.
They never offer me the 4.25. They want the 10, and they don't, you know, they move forward. So.
No, that's great. And I heard you say something that do you with your private money? Cause I typically have been doing the interest only to increase the cash flow. Are you doing, you know, amortized notes on your private lenders, or how does that look?
When you're trying in the beginning to quit your job and you're working part-time, you need all the cash flow you can get. So interest only is okay, you know, because that $50 or $100 per transaction extra that you're making because you're interest only and you're not reducing principal, you need that to get free from your job or to hit your magic number where all your overhead's paid. But as soon as you get, let's say like your overhead is $5,000 a month. Well, as soon as you get to about $10,000 a month and you have interest only payments, you can switch over now, and everything beyond that, you can start amortizing. I offer to my private lenders, and I want the investors out here to listen, but I also want people who have idle money who's listening. You know, this is your chance if you want to loan money to me. This is what I offer. I offer 10% annual interest if you'll give me a 15-year fully amortized note. I offer 9% annual interest if you give me a 10-year fully amortized note. I offer 8.5% annual interest if you'll give me a 15-year note with a 7-year balloon. 15-year amortization with a 7-year balloon. I'll offer 8% if you give me a 15-year amortization with the 5-year balloon. I never like to borrow money less than 5 years because even 5 years flies. You know, you look up and it's like, damn, you know, if it's any shorter than 5 years, it's like you just got the loan and now you're having to work on getting another one or fixing something, you know. Then it starts to break down kind of tit for tat. I'll pay you 7% for a 7-year fully amortized loan. I pay you 6% for a 6-year fully amortized loan. I pay you 5% for a 5. There are little pieces of land and little things that I do that sometimes I can do really short notes on. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen all the time. But when you're doing a 6-year fully amortized loan, I won't let you in over 65% of what I can sell this thing for to begin with. And then you're reducing your risk every month drastically. So that's why it's only 6% for a 6-year amortized loan, because you didn't have any risk really to begin with. And then it's decreasing risk with every month I pay you because I'm knocking the bottom out of this debt every month because it's only a 6-year am. So, you know, risk versus reward. If I'm paying less interest, it's because there's far less risk in this note, you know?
That makes a lot of sense. And I'm glad you said it that way, because I've always somewhat struggled with that point too when I'm talking with my private money lenders. You know, I get pretty good terms. I'm usually in that 6 to 9% range, just depending on the deal. But to be able to explain it that well, like, look, your risk is going down when we amortize this versus the interest only. So I'm going to have some conversations coming up with some of them because I think they'd actually prefer that, and to my advantage of actually knocking that debt away.
Let's try this, Mike. You keep those interest only things, but you go out now and you try to find amortized money. And as soon as you find amortized money, replace your interest only money with just take them out. So you already have the deals to go shop to show your potential new lenders. You know,
that's a good idea.
Another good idea is if you know a potential lender that has a lot of money, he's a big bucks guy. You know, he's a deep pocket guy. You might need $65,000 on a $100,000 house. But in order to get into this guy's pocket one time, so you can call him an associate, so you can talk business with him, so you can get to know him, just leave $30,000 of your money in that deal and just ask him for $40,000 in a first position on a $100,000 house. Just offer him a no-brainer deal.
That's genius. Everyone listening, use that.
or take some of your money, you know, in your company, and give it a second. He's going to loan 30 in the first. You're going to loan 35 in the second. So it's still $65,000 worth of debt on the house. It's just you're paying yourself interest on it. And get that guy with the big money. You know, I've done this before. I said, hey, I'd like to talk to you about a deal, sir. You don't know me, but you're going to know me. I got a $100,000 house. I need to borrow $60,000 in the first position. Does that sound interesting to you? It's not really. I said, okay, how about 50,000 in the first position? He goes, you're getting warmer. I said, all right, how about 40,000 in the first position? He said, are you serious? I said, last offer, 35,000 in the first position. I'll give you first lien on my $100,000 house, and I'm paying 10%. He's like, damn, why would you do that? I said, I want to raise private money, and I need people like you to get to know me, and I'm giving you a no-brainer chance to get to know me. What could possibly happen? Except for you make more money than 10%. Because if you get my house, you're going to make a lot more money than 10%. So, and that's how I get in with a lot of people, is I'll just chop the LTV to whatever it takes to get them in.
That's a great strategy, because that's sometimes the challenge. Like, I want to get, because I'm used to getting all the money, including rehab, to fund my deals. But to break into that new quote unquote account or that new relationship, give them an opportunity to make a little money, see what it's like, see that it's not as scary as they might think it might be.
To make sure that, and see that check comes on the first, just like you told them. You know what I mean? And then get this. Then I go to the next deep pocket guy, and I'm offering to take the $35,000 guy out. And I just use that same good deal, and I just go all the way around the city going, you want to loan me $35,000 in a first lien position on a $100,000 house for 10%? And as soon as someone says yes, I just take this guy out. Now, hopefully it's been 2 or 3 months so he could see that payments come. But you know, when a new lender loans you money, they're really happy to see the entire principal come back, even if it was they only got 4 months worth of payments. Then they'll start complaining after that. Well, I don't want to do this and my money come back every 4 or 5 months. I want it to be out for a little while, a year or two or something. But the very first time that you pay them off and they were only with you for 3 or 4 months, it's actually a sigh of relief. They go, that guy, I was a little nervous about him. I didn't know him. I loaned him $35,000. He gave me a great position. His payments came on time. And then lo and behold, he returned my $35,000 principal. I think this guy's honest. And so I did this course called Private Money Changes Everything. I used to charge $9.97 for it, but now I just threw it into the owner finance course because it's such an integral part. This Private Money Changes Everything course is not bulky. It's very light, but it's rich. It's only like 7 steps. It's very niche-y. It shows you how to talk to private lenders with the backdrop of, I'm going to seller finance these houses. I'm going to wrap your note. It tells you how to talk to about that specific strategy. And it's only about 7 steps. The coolest thing about trying to raise private money, in my opinion, is when you learn how to never ask for it. You learn how to speak to them so that they volunteer or raise their hand and go, can I be one of those guys that you're talking about that loan you money, that make that 10% or that 9% or that 8%? It's like, then you act surprised. Oh, you want to be like I wasn't working towards that all the time. But that's cool. And what happened was, all my people were older, and that's why they were interest only. They never wanted to go for a long period of time because they were old. But then I started telling myself, I gotta have a plan for the younger people that are like 28, 29, 30, 32. They can't even touch their IRAs till they're 59 and a half, and they just want to set it and forget it.
Yeah.
And amazingly enough, as soon as I decided that there were people out there that would take a 15-year fully amortized, I started finding them. But it starts right here. Until I believed or thought or told myself there's got to be some people out there, then it didn't happen. When I was telling myself nobody's going to want to go 15 years with me, then nobody was. When I started seeing some other examples out there and someone sat me down and goes, Mitch, you're full of crap. There are people that are out there doing it. You're just not asking.
Well, the crazy thing in this whole business and probably life is the distance between our 2 ears is really where a lot of that space that takes up it makes us afraid. And, I just want everyone out there to know, don't be afraid to succeed. Sometimes that, it seems cheesy, but I've started to see that more and more. We get so set in the way we think it's supposed to be and the way we expect it, or what people are telling us, or, our own mind games will play on ourselves on that. Hey, we're not good enough, or this is too risky, or this or that. Take it step by step, take it slow, see that it is possible. Like you've said, your career was, scaling 1 step at a time, and it wasn't a rush job. And that's the same thing for raising private money. People want these opportunities. There's more money out there than there are deals. There's more money out there.
They just don't know you exist. They just don't know that you exist.
And that's the big thing is you can't be afraid to put it out there because of maybe rejection, because rejection is just one step closer to a yes. I've been in sales really my entire career, and that's something that you've got to be okay with, because you're not trying to reach that 70%. You're trying to find that 30% of people that are a good fit for you and you're a good fit for them. And that's really what the goal is to find and identify. And if other people don't like it, fine. You didn't do anything wrong by offering them an opportunity or offering to buy their house or offering to sell them a house on terms. What you're doing is offering an opportunity to see if it makes sense to work together with people.
Yeah, I've never went to pitch, private money, and someone shove a pencil in my eye or stab me with a knife or shoot me with a gun. It's never happened. It's never, ever, ever, ever happened. Most people are very gracious. Some people will turn you off fast, and you can't fit a round peg in a square hole. Just leave it be. This is not something you talk people into. It's just you show them. And if it's a natural fit and they see what's going on and they like it, they'll gravitate to you. If they don't like it, you'll know. And just, I love that word, next, just on to the next one. I tell my people who show up with a good deal, they show up with a good deal. Because that's what brings the money, the deal, right? Yeah. Right? Charles Manson could have got money from the prison cell after murdering all those people. If he had a good enough deal, he could have raised money. Just get on the phone and say, hey. So the deal is, are you going to present? And I like to tell people to have a good deal. I challenge you. I'll bet you $1,000 you can't get 50 no's in a row. I bet you can't get 50 no's in a row. Now the question is how bad you want it. You can't get 50 no's in a row if you have a good deal. It won't happen. It's impossible. I'll doubt that you'll go 15, maybe 20, but I doubt it.
Yeah, if you have a good deal, you'll find the money. I know it's said everywhere in every RIA group, but it is true. We're probably if you're finding troubles, maybe you're not asking enough people or you're asking the wrong people, because that took me a little while to learn too. Like I'd go to the RIA groups and try to get those people, and those are all people that know the shark terms, right? The 2 and 12, 2 and 15, whatever. The points and interest, like you're trying to find the people that don't have access to those deals as easily or readily.
You're swimming in dirty water. That water's already been polluted. I mean, these people already want big, high returns and everything. We got to get off that track. It's all right here. I mean, my partner, his obstacle was he was too young. He didn't even own his own house. Why were all these people this money are usually in their 50s, 60s, 70s. He's 25. He goes, why the hell are they going to loan me money? I don't even own my own house. I've only been out of college 2 years. And that's when I sat him down. I said, look, you're giving yourself way too much credit. You're not even important to this deal. Only thing you got to do is tell people, about it. Here's the one problem. Also, he was begging for money. You don't beg for money. You go say, I have an opportunity I'll let you in on if you'll make a decision rather quickly, pretty quick within the next 3 or 4 or 5 days. I don't need you. I'm gonna find somebody. You do it or you don't do it. But stop begging for money.
I'm so glad you said that. And that goes to even if you're wholesaling, flipping, acquiring houses, negotiating, people can smell, feel, and sense desperation. So even if you feel desperate, you've got to be able to bottle it up. You've got to be prepared for how that conversation may go. And you've got to be confident in yourself and what you're offering. And that's really where I think sometimes the experience does come into play. And that's why I love your 50 no challenge, because once you get 5 or 10 of those no's out of the way, if you even get to that point, you're going to understand what you did right, what you did wrong, because ask them. A lot of people don't like to ask what they did wrong or why they wouldn't invest, why you didn't sell the house to me, why you didn't like this. Most people are going to be pretty open with you about areas of opportunity to improve yourself. And, we're all humans, we're all growing, we're all trying to become better day by day. Why not get feedback from the people that just told you no or yes? What did I do right? What did I do wrong? How could I be better?
Yeah. And there's always that, if it's not for them, is, do you know anybody I could help that needs this kind of return, that needs this kind of security backing up their investment? Do you know anyone we can help? They go, well, yeah, my grandma has a whole bunch of money and she's not making crap, she's making 1% in a CD. I said, well, I mean, she don't have to put it all with me, but can she try one, or, do you think she'll have enough what it takes to try 1 or 2 deals. And that's the other thing. Everybody, all the people that have $1 million with me, $1.5 million, 2 million, the most any one person has with me about 3.2. They all started out with the tiniest deal I could give them in the beginning. They all just want to put their finger in. It's a time confidence building thing. The people that have 3 million with me, they've been with me for 15 years. They've seen the ups and downs. They've seen me through the recession. They've seen the pandemic. They actually had up to 4 million, but during the pandemic, as people would pay me off and I had to pay them off, they wanted to keep a little powder dry, a little more powder dry, because the pandemic was scary. They're calling right now saying, okay, we're starting to see this is all a bunch of BS. We're going to loosen up here and start getting this money back out again. But, you know, those people have been with me over 15 years. But they didn't start out with $1 million. No one ever gives me a lump sum of money. If someone says, I need to get out 500,000, then I send them a deal. Here's one. You can have a first lien on this house for 70. Stands alone. Pay as agreed or get my house. Now, that being said, I've never given a house to anyone in my whole career, nor have I ever been foreclosed on, nor have I ever filed Chapter 7 or Chapter 13. But my right, and I look at my private lender right in the eye when they're considering loaning me money, and I tell them, I have 2 rights every day of my life if you make me a loan. I have the right to pay as agreed, or I have the right to walk over my position in this property and assign it over to you. So if you don't like that collateral for what you're loaning me, don't do it. And then I got to, you know, say, now it's never happened, but I have that right every day. It's a collateral only, non-recourse, wrappable loan, and that's how it works. And I also have the luxury, like you do, Mike, say, and I got people that I've owed money to for decades, and I've always paid them. You want to call them, here's their phone numbers, you know. I tell them mostly, but you better make sure you have an excuse to get off the phone, because these little old ladies, all these widows that I deal with now, because their husbands died a long time ago, they won't let you off the phone. They're going to tell you how much they love me. So what's the next plan for you?
Well, actually, I'm working on something really interesting with Don Costa, and him and I, we started the Inner Circle Elite group together. That's where I had a chance to meet you when we had our event there in San Antonio last year. And we're actually putting together some courses and materials for kind of like newer people. It's going to be called Ready, Build, Scale. By the time this airs, I think that it should be ready to go. But really, it's going to be focused on getting ready, building the mechanics, the muscle memory, and how to do a deal, get you through those first couple deals. Build is going to be more about putting your team in place, trying to identify the right people, try and find the right systems and tools and things like that. And then scale is going to be more along the lines of our Inner Circle Mastermind. It's going to be a higher level, people that are our top producers. They are having the business they want and they're looking to explore. Because I wouldn't recommend people starting off trying to flip wholesale and be a landlord all at the same time. So you want to get yourself to that solid footing like we've talked about, and then that's when you can start exploring. So that's kind of where we're looking to really bring value to people out there. And we're really excited about it. I mean, Don has 20 plus years of experience. He got wiped out in the crash, came back. I mean, he's been on here. You've been on his podcast. So, if you want to, go listen to those with him, because he's a truly knowledgeable dude that has been through so much and so giving. And I just have a different experience in my life being, a little bit younger, coming up, graduating in the crash, and being able to come from a different angle, because he was a flipper first. I was a wholesaler first. We both, now we kind of play in all the different exit strategies, but being able to have a truly robust training for people so they have that, as well as a support structure around it with like the community aspect that we're putting together. We're really excited about that.
Hey, well, so when you get that all together, call me up and let's introduce it through my podcast. I'm volunteering because I think Don's a formidable force. I know him through a few people, and I think it's cool. So whenever you get that ready, let me know, and we'll focus right on what you guys got to offer on that. All right.
That sounds great, Mitch. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, I got to pay homage to my sponsor and maybe wrap it up. I'm going to ask you in a minute, what's your advice to maybe the newbie out there? And meanwhile, I got to pay homage to my sponsor. Livecom.com, LIVECOMM.com. Check it out. It's a lead generation system. It is 100% responsible for why my seller financed houses last 9 days, average only 9 days on the market and average 12% down. I have 24,000 people that this lead generation system has captured that I can text at will for 2 cents per person every time I have a new owner financed house come up for sale. You know, I put 20 signs around the neighborhood and 1 sign in the front yard. It has a LiveCom phone number on it. That LiveCom phone number has a text distribution list attached to it, and it captures the cell phone number of anyone who calls it. And over the months, I have collected 24,000 people that want to, in my town, that want to know next time I have a seller finance property. And I just simply send out a text in like a minute and a half. I can send out a text to all 24,000 of them for 2 cents a piece, direct hit. The cool thing is I send out every quarter a message that says, if you're not interested in these products or my product, please reply with the word stop and get off this list and stop receiving these messages. Despite me doing that every quarter, I still have 24,000 people that are serious about getting my text. So, and it can work 100 different ways. There's all kinds of strategies that I've figured out to use it for. Check it out, livecom.com, livecomm.com. All right. I'd like to thank the whole audience for stopping by to get you some Mike Cowper. And Mike, what do you got to say to the newbies out there that are maybe just a little confused, a little overwhelmed, and trying to figure out what the hell to do?
I can still remember being there because I kind of feel that way when I started doing the creative space stuff because, right, I was a newbie in this. So I would say really where I found the most success in my entire career, you know, no matter what it was, is finding people that are further down the road than me. That is listening to this podcast. That's finding coaching, training, masterminds, mentorship, going out and networking. I really, truly believe I wouldn't be here where I'm at today if I didn't happen to bump into the people that I bumped into, create those strong relationships. And when I say bump into people, I intentionally bump into them. Much like Mitch says, you know, he leads people to ask him how to get involved in deals. I am proactive about how I bump into people, trying to network with people, trying to find the right people. And making sure that you don't try to do this alone, because it really can be a challenging and it is kind of lonesome to begin with. Just having some people to bounce ideas off of or talk about it, because, you know, if you stroke, you know, these big checks and you're making 10, 20 grand on a deal, it's really hard to go talk to, you know, your brother-in-law who might be working at, you know, Jiffy Lube and talking about the challenges of it. You need to find people that are in a similar aspiration. And what I've found to be successful as I've grown is it's nice to have someone to chase, nice someone to have on the same plane as you to just kind of, you know, share experiences. And it's also nice to try and help coach and teach and help somebody else up. That way you're kind of learning 3 different ways. And I really find that that's to be really helpful. And you're doing a great job if you're listening to this, because Mitch's program is amazing. I've gotten a lot of value myself out of it. And, you know, don't be afraid to succeed. Don't be afraid to take risk. I mean, don't be, you know, cavalier about it. You know, make sure it's a smart risk, make sure you think it through, but you know, you can't always sit on the sidelines. You know, once you've analyzed that deal for the 50th time, maybe it's time to pull the trigger. You need to get a better, clear idea on what that actual criteria you're looking at should be. So you can do it. You can be successful. And I hope to see you do it as well.
Yeah. Get around the people that you want to be like financially, but also importantly, make sure they're the kind of person you want to be on and off the field. Because whatever's happening off the field is going to spill over into the business. There's no way to really separate real life from business in certain levels. So make sure the person that you choose, do research. There's a lot of bullshit artists out there. You know, make sure they're doing what you want to do, like they're actually really doing it. You know, follow up, call some people, just verify, and then make sure they're the kind of person you know, on and off the field that you want to be. And then that, you know, you can swing the price. It's going to be well worth it, because you can always measure a mentor by how much money they make you, but you'll never be able to measure your mentor by how much money they kept you from losing or how much time they kept you from losing, because you won't have a number. And so you can't measure the negative. So don't just look at, this is what he made me. You know, I have saved people from huge, huge mistakes. But they give it very little credit because they felt no pain. I mean, it's just kind of one of those things. Hey, I'm going to do this. No, don't do that. Okay, I won't. And then that was all that was ever said. But that path would have cost them 15 grand. You know what I mean? But who knows? All right, man. This is Mitch Stephen with the 1000houses.com podcast. Check out livecom.com, livecomm.com. Mike, thanks so much for being on. You're a great guy. If you ever get to Texas, down in San Antonio, look me up, right?
Will do.
All right. I'm not too hard to find. And we'll go to the ranch or something and shoot a pig.
That sounds awesome.
All right, man. Talk to you in a bit. We're out of here. Bye now.